Hey guys, King of Charmander here. Alright, so thank you all of you that voted for that poll I put up here about the 30-second switch timer. Here's the video on it like I promised. 99, you know, it's funny, I got 99 problems, 99 votes, but a great community won. Thank you guys for voting again. I appreciate you. You see what I did there? But yes, as you see here, I think 99 votes is pretty good to see where the community, well, my community gauged on it, but a lot of I've looked far and wide on the Twitterverse and social mediaverse and saw a lot of opinions about whether or not you liked or hated the switch clock meta, or if you would like it to change to 45 seconds. So here's a video on it. Again, I really do appreciate you guys. Okay, there are battles in here as well, so you get to see some sweet battles in here. So don't think it's just me mumbling about opinion. No, this are like what I think about it, or like the example of what other people thought about it. No, there's some sweet battles in here. So enjoy. Alright, so 26% of you liked it, meaning that a quarter of you only liked it. However, I can see why, because the half switch timer had a lot of pros. There was less rock, paper, scissors. So, you know, one of the common stigmas about Pokemon Go PvP, rock, paper, scissors. It's like RPS, or better known as RPS, where there's basically nothing you could do about it, because as long as things align up nicely, you win the game. Unless you do something really crazy, which what this switch timer allowed you to do. Because of the ability to pivot out and force yourself to allow you to catch and enable you to have more opportunities to sack swap your Pokemon, like in number 2. Basically, the game made it to where you can utilize so many more strategies and to basically kill the rock, paper, scissors and make the game more dynamic. What I mean by dynamic is, what dynamic meant is that you are switching everywhere. You switch. You see this? You see the Pokeball? Fly Pokeball. Go Pokeball. There you go. Oh, you don't like the matchup you're in? Oh, let me just spam 2 Naruto. Switch, and then here's the thing. Oh, by the way, about being more dynamic. Oh, you thought you were winning, huh? You thought you were winning. All I gotta do is sack this Pokemon and then switch, and then there you go. It became more dynamic. Basically, you were able to do more turns, so technically you were able to make more action, so it made the game a little, like, fast and really, really exciting in a sense. A lot more than being stuck with a Bastiodon farming down your Altaria to death because you got locked into a really bad matchup and you made a really bad switch. It opened up new team building strategies. So basically, well, they weren't necessarily exciting team building strategies, but you know, Umbreon's a really good mon. That's why you sign in every single one. Basically, the team building strategies where it opened up is that new spammy mons or Pokemon that you can utilize new strategies, like I put in one point right here, where you can essentially run the clock or stall the clock and then just switch out. So after you fire 2 charge moves, it was good. And another thing is that it made debuff moves a lot less threatening. That was one of the pros. So with this, you could basically fire 4 wild charges or 69 wild charges, debuff, get out of there, and then you are fine, dude. Which I'm basically talking about Mew. Anyways, also pretty much a brand new game in a sense. That's what a lot of people that liked it said. It said it was a brand new game. It felt like Pokemon Go PvP finally became something really fast-paced and exciting that could really turn it and make it into the new millennium of esports because of its unique gameplay. It's super fast, switching. And now you can finally kill the factor of rock, paper, scissors a lot more than you would before. That's what I mean by a brand new game. It was essentially something really exciting, something fresh, instead of just another cup that had another horrible condensed meta, like what's going to happen next week for the Great League Remix. Alright, so here's a good example of escaping the RPS using this new switch timer. This is going to be in Master League. This was actually a really good battle that I saved because it really showcases how the 30-second timer really does help the RPS, especially in a league that's as dominated by Master League by Dialga. As you see here, I'm going to swap into my Mewtwo and I get a Giratina. This actually isn't terrible. I usually get this matchup, but that's perfectly fine because Psystrike does so much damage. All I'm going to do is build up to a Shadow Ball, fake that you have a Shadow Ball, so this is pretty much an advanced technique. Just fake you have something and fire. Because if this is a Shadow Ball, this basically is pretty much going to KO this Giratina Origin. but Side Strike still does big damage. As you see here, I will grab a shield. And now, actually, I don't grab a shield. Never mind, I lied. I forgot about... Okay, so I managed to grab... I think. Keyword is I think. Okay, so as you see here, I am going to hit this Side Strike. And they find... Yes, there you go. Now I grab the shield. There you go. There. Now what's happening? Now what's happening is supposed to happen. This should grab the second one. I get the 3 Side Strikes here, which is really good. And this should prompt my opponent to either blow their energy, or even if they fire me down, that's fine because I still have a dragon. As you see here, that was CMP, which was really good on my part. So now, even though I will lose my Mewtwo, this Giratina has no more energy. What I'm hoping will happen is they actually switch into their back row, which actually isn't what I thought it would be. I thought they would switch back into their Dialga, and unfortunately they do not. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Scissors City. That Dialga beats my Hydreigon, Giratina O beats my Mewtwo handily, and this Conkeldurr is basically going to end my life. But there still is a way to win, and I will show you how. So as you see here, what I'm doing is I'm going to build up as much as I can, and then I'm going to hit Superpower. So because the timer is lower to 30 seconds, what I can do is if I swap in Hydreigon really quick, I can Dragon Breath down this Conkeldurr before it gets another move off. As you see here, I managed to do it. And if I did it right, 1-turn fast moves take priority over other fast moves. So watch what's going to happen here. I'm mashing my Dark Pulse, but what's going to happen, this is actually a super advanced win con, or super advanced strategy. As you see here, I want them to catch my Dark Pulse. This was actually calculated because what's going to happen. This is why I'm undercharging. I'm going to undercharge this, do 1 Dragon Breath worth of damage, and stop. Because what I want them to do is I want them to actually KO my Hydreigon. I'm going to farm down this Giratina Origin, and then I'm going to Superpower, because I should have Superpower energy, the Dialga on the back. As you see here, a really fancy way of getting a rock, paper, scissors, and I really don't know how I figured all of this out in less than it took me 1 second to figure all of these motions out. That's how you know you're addicted to Pokemon Go PvP, and you should probably take a break and stop for a little bit. As you see here, I get the Superpower off, 1 more Mud Slap, and that's GG's. As you see, the 30-second timer was really awesome. My opponent didn't need a catch, but because the timer was out there, why not get practice? And because my opponent did what I thought they were going to do, that's GG's. But as you see, good example of the 30-second timer. Alright, so 39% of you actually hated it. And I could see a lot of the cons. It was very stressful. It's very stressful. If you're not used to there are styles, believe it or not, yes, battling goes beyond just playing the game. There's also styles. If you have a conservative style, or you like tanky Pokemon, this meta kind of screwed you over because it was incredibly stressful. Basically, players like me who have high pace, high octane, high fast paced style, and a high pressure style, basically had an advantage in this because we were so used to just firing off charge moves or just playing at an incredibly fast pace, because Pokemon Go is basically, PvP is basically a fast-paced, turn-paced game. But like I said, if you have, there is conservative style. So if you had a conservative style, like you like tanks or something of that, or you liked locking in or doing something of that sort, it put you at a disadvantage. So even then, it was still very stressful for those like me who are pretty... It didn't affect me so much because, like I said, I have a very fast-paced style, but still, it was it doesn't help when... Again, point number 2, inconsistent game mechanics plus charmers. So when you switch in, and I don't know why this happens, but when an opponent switches a mon in, for some reason, this never used to happen before, but fast move damage, fast move damage will register first before anything else. So that's why if you, for example, if you have a mon, if you take out your opponent's mon and you have a charge move queued, 9 times out of 10, if they fire a move, if they switch in, they'll hit you in the move before you could fire your charge move. This usually only happens for 1-turn fast moves. 1-turn fast moves do have priority over charge moves. But unfortunately, that doesn't work. Instead, everything gets an extra move regardless of how fast it is. So if your opponent's rocking Incinerate, which you probably didn't see a lot of it, guess what? An Incinerate was coming through your crap every time you were waiting. In other words, if they try to switch in on you with a Charmer / a Bastiodon, 9 times out of 10, if you are trying to fire a charge move and they switch it at the exact same time, they will actually get their damage before you ever get to fire your move. And guess what? Because the game works that way right now, well, Yeah, because the game works that way right now, which isn't supposed to happen. You will die before you fire your move. Even though technically what should happen is that when you fire your move, they should catch your move. No, it doesn't work that way. You're like, it just doesn't work that way. So basically, if you were using Charmers or Bastion, you could take advantage of this strategy by switching out and switching in your Charmer and just basically having a free charm. And if you were almost dead, that charm would kill you before you ever got a move off, even if you already had a move, because switching in takes priority. So yeah, it's broken. Third point is Deoxy's defense. A lot of people I knew were like, dude, really? I don't have a DD. And even though DD isn't the most oppressive thing since sliced bread, Psycho Boost, as someone that's used Psycho Boost and made it relevant, or made it in one of the most relevant teams, and it's consistently good. I've used it for an entire year. I used it from Season 2 all the way up to Season 6. Actually, I still used it in Season 7 to climb when I was doing my wins, so it's still really freaking good. That's all I got. It's really freaking good. So Deoxy's defense not being available for a lot of the players really sucked, because Deoxy's defense was a great coverage mon. PV Poke used it in his most powerful line, and it was used in a lot of lines because what could happen, it's the perfect combination. It's a giant tank, it has the most powerful overall fast moving counter, and it has Psycho Boost, one of the most powerful moves that you can just chip and dip and switch out because of the 30-second timer. It was really freaking good. Along with that, because of Deoxy's defense's barrier to entry and inaccessibility for those of you that don't already have one, it really sucked, which brings on to my point number 4. It's an unhealthy meta. Spam everything plus tanks, with Deoxy's defense being the perfect combination of everything in between. Well, where this goes is a lot of people some people, these are coming from experienced players, by the way, so it's not like just like newer players, but like it was, people didn't like that it's just weather ball, like spam, like spam everything. 30 seconds is too short. With that, you could just spam Weather Ball or just spam like low charge moves like with Politoed or with like Body Slam, etc. and just add tanks in the back, and basically that's just what the meta is. It's things that spam charge moves are tanks. And if it stayed this way, the meta that's out right now, like Medicham, Sableye, etc., they would essentially be they would be a lot more oppressive than they are before, just because of the ability to basically, like I said, spam. Anything that basically has a bait move and spams gives you an automatic advantage, because now you can't gather energy for a nuke and lock your opponent into 60 seconds to hopefully fire that move. Basically, the bait game was kind of almost not non-existent, but it was definitely a lot less relevant in this meta. I think what really sucks the most is it really isn't new player friendly. A 30-second switch timer, like, I would not teach a player, if I had to coach them, an extremely fast-paced style of gameplay right away. No, we're going to take it slow, okay? We're going to give you Azu. We're going to let you learn 3-turn mechanics before we let you go into, like, the 2 turns, and you get really comfy and everything like that. It really isn't new player friendly. If I taught a new player that could keep up, that's fine. However, the thing about Pokemon Go is that there's so many little things that you have to know, like tapping on the side of your phone, tapping on the right spots, making sure you don't do this, over-tapping, under-tapping, that newer players would just have their heads blown off, and there's no, like, if you've noticed, there's no tutorial on how to really play Pokemon Go PvP. A lot of advanced stuff is outsourced, as in you use sources like my YouTube channel or PvPoke.com. There's nothing in the game that teaches you about 3 or 4 turn moves. There isn't. It's not even in there. It's just, hey, you tap this does this much damage. Here's a little bar that possibly shows you how much you can get off before you die. And with that being said, the last point I have is the game is broken and it still lags. So, it's still broken. The game is still laggy. I think a lot of times, like, that's what happened to me a lot. Like, a lot of times there was a lot of broken game mechanics, and the game, even though I was, like, streaming from the park, where I literally do not like, I was still lagging. And those little bits of lag, those latency issues, can cost you a game. With a 30-second timer, if the game lags, and you'll probably notice this glitch a lot, where if you're tapping on the phone, if you're tapping on your phone and you're trying to like fire a move or gather energy, it freezes, and then it literally fast forwards to where the server tries to catch up with you, and all of a sudden your 4 moves charged in. What does that mean? That means your clock ran, and if the clock ran and your opponent's switch was up, even though you're trying to fire a move before, those little seconds could force your opponent to switch, could allow your opponent to switch out. So the game being broken didn't help at all. So honestly, like, a lot, I applaud you for trying something new, but the fact is, your game is broken, Niantic. Please fix it. so that we can have a somewhat enjoyable experience, because it's kind of late for forgiveness. Alright, so I think this is a battle is a good example of how stressful it is with 30 seconds. You'll see, I think this is especially true in Master League, because you're going to see in this battle just like how just by opponent's team composition, how the 30-second timer can be taken advantage of. We get Melmetal and Hydreigon. Guess what? I lose this lead. I'm going to switch into Mewtwo, and what my opponent can possibly do, well, Mewtwo is a superpower. That's why I love Mewtwo Safe Switch, because I'm not going to get punched in the face. Probably going to get a bunch of rocks dropped in my head. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do what every Psychopath does, and when they play the Mewtwo versus the Melmetal matchup, I am going to straight Focus Blast through shields. This is how I made rank 10 in Season 1, so, you know, maybe it's going to work again this time around. I'm going to summon the power from the sky, and then boom. And then we get Switch back. Well, we never had Switch to begin with, but as you see, we take out the Melmetal, and here we get the Snorlax. So I like my opponent's team because it's spam, spam, spam. Snorlax has superpower. Superpower with the current switch timer, you get superpower and dip. I'm going to straight Side Strike. My opponent will shield this just because Side Strike still does heavy damage to his Snorlax, and this is probably a body slam, so I'm going to let it go. But as you see here, Melmetal and Snorlax is a great combination with the 30-second timer. Unless you Focus Blast through shields and then you die, which is what I exactly did to my opponent. Now, as you see here, Hydreigon actually has a great matchup against Snorlax. One superpower won't actually kill me. However, I'm going to be very careful because I will shield this one. I'm going to shield this one because I still don't know what they have in the back. As you see, very stressful. Due to the chip and dip, as you see here. Normal circumstances, my opponent, well, in normal circumstances, my opponent should be able to do that because they've been in Snorlax for a while and they've never switched out. But as you see here, my opponent, I have to be really careful because since I'm going to fire a Dark Pulse, this is what I wanted to do. However, I have to be very careful. Because what happens is if I shield this Earthquake and it happens to be a Fire Punch, which it doesn't happen, it's going to suck because I'm going to have to superpower here. This will break my opponent's shield, but they should be able to switch now. Now my opponent can switch out. So because they did that great bait, superpower, they should shield this, and now they should be able to swap out, or what they're going to do is just Earthquake me to death. So as you see here, they're probably going to do this. They're probably going to Earthquake me and then swap out right away. In normal circumstances, you aren't able to do that. But if you can think fast enough, you should be able to. And seeing as my opponent is playing Melmetal and Snorlax with superpower, I'm pretty sure they can think, they have to think pretty quick. Well, not think really quickly. Chip and dip. As you see here, they're going to hit me. I'm going to fire this Dark Pulse off, but I don't think this actually kills in the green. So because this is how I measure HP. I look at your health, and as you see here, yes, it does not actually kill. 1 HP, and I'm about to eat a whole superpower. So it's about to go down. So as you see here, superpower goes off. However, I should be able to still Dragon Breath down. Dragon Breath is a powerful move, and because I'm able to recognize that, even though they baited me with Fire Punch, this is still GG's. So if it were up to me, 34% of you made it, said make it 45 seconds, and I agree. This would actually be my vote if I could vote in my own poll. I would make it 45 seconds for the good reason that it kind of gives, it allows everyone to essentially meet in the middle. It still allows for the dynamic gameplay without making debuff strats almost irrelevant. For example, the reason why I didn't really like the 30-second timer a lot was because it essentially makes things like Bubble Beam, etc., like Mantine, essentially irrelevant. And just because you can debuff them and then they could just dip out right away. It made the point of debuffing your opponent almost non-existent, or there's no point. Because now, like, I don't use debuff mons heavily, but you could just clear the debuff in, like, literally 1 charge move after. Because it takes an average of 2 charge moves, such a little bit of seconds, or 3 charge moves to run the clock. It would punish chip and dip spammers. A lot of people did use this, and it's almost, I wouldn't say it's as bad as a tap-tap strat, but, like, it's kind of brainless, because all you do is just wild charge, dip, Brave Bird, dip. Psycho Boost and dip. So many people use that, and then when I actually I saw people using DD against Galarian stuff is really wrong. Like, what they would do is they would just instead of gathering the energy or gauging energy correctly and then firing at the right moment, they would just fire Psycho Boost right away and dip. Instead of doing it like, I actually won a lot of games because people that were inexperienced for using Psycho Boost wouldn't use it in the right time, or they would just use it right away because they could just dip out. And it doesn't heavily encourage spam plus tank lines. That's what allows for it. Again, with the debuff strat thing, spam and tank lines were really annoying. Things like Umbreon. So Umbreon's a giant spammer and it's a tank. Things like things like, what else am I looking for? Jellicent was a spammer plus a tank, and it doesn't encourage a full line of those because they're just really powerful, which means glassy mons like Surfetched or Machamp can still take the reins and still beat up a decent amount of Pokemon and not get locked into like a Charmer or something of that sort, or you could still like pivot in a sense. Which goes into the allows for conserve style. Again, like I mentioned before, there are some people that do have a conserve style. They like kind of saving their energy or saving their Pokemon's HP, etc. That still allows for this game bait. 45 seconds doesn't allow your opponent to switch out of your tank or whatever you're trying to do for additional 15 seconds, which can actually matter, which is about one more charge move and some change. And I think the best part about it is that a 45-second timer would allow newer players to get a healthier feel for phone tap mechanics. Most of you might not think it, but actually the way you tap on your phone matters. Where you position it, where you tap on it does really matter, because it kills room for error, and because switch buttons are so close to each other. It's really hard to teach a newer player how to tap correctly on the phone and how to spam charge moves, because if your opponent, for example, if I was coaching someone and your opponent switches out in 30 seconds, oh, okay, so here's what they did. They did this, and they're like, wait, what? So just basically it's a healthier pace, in my opinion, for 45 seconds. Because, like I said, your opponent can't just spam, dip, and then just do whatever. You could actually, like, stay in there. Okay, this is a good matchup. You're doing well. Just do that. Just you could stay in here, and then it's not. Okay, you could stay in here. Oh, crap, wait, watch out if they switch. No, nothing like that. Healthier feel, and healthier overall for the... I think it would be 45 seconds would be the healthiest option for the game overall. At least my point at the end. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I thank you for voting. It really gave me a chance to look at the data. This data definitely helps for the future. Now, this whole idea of lowering the timer or the event was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, I did have fun. However, here's the second half of the problem. Barrier to entry and availability. If you don't know me already and you've watched my videos for a while, I'm a very big advocate for making the game better for everyone, not just players like me that have been playing for an obscenely long time and then play this game on an unhealthy basis probably more times than I probably should throughout the week. Anyways, the reason why I didn't think it was like super healthy for them to do this is the game is still broken. There was still lag, there was still mechanics, there is a lot of things that are still broken and not set in stone, like fast move mechanics. So there's a lot of things that are still broken. And because like I mentioned in the hated point, because the game is still broken, they should take priority on fixing the game and making the experience smoothly before adding anything like this. This pretty much proves that if Niantic even adjusts the game a little bit, like with the 30-second switch timer, it still proves that they cannot fix the game properly. There's something in the coding or wherever Niantic lacks as far as like infrastructure, because they clearly aren't lacking in money. They have billions of dollars worth. You can't fix everything by throwing money at it, but they definitely had enough time to put the money into the time needed to fix the game. There's no forgiveness anymore, Niantic. There's no more excuses. But yes, before they implement this, they should totally fix the game, and that would make it better, not just for us, but for everyone else. Because the only thing that sucks more about me trying to get a newer friend to play the game is having them lag in the middle of a battle, then them stop playing for that one reason they've had a really bad impression because the game lagged. And that's been happening for well over a year. I can't make any excuses anymore. It's not a great product, but here we are, we still play it. I appreciate you guys that watch my videos. Please like and subscribe. Again, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed the event regardless. I hope you guys climbed really well. If you didn't, don't worry about it. We still got plenty of time this season. With that being said, good luck and go battle sets, and I will see you guys on the next video.